What's up, world? Welcome to the very first Women STEM Wednesdays. And I just want to say that I'm excited. I'm just giving a little bit of time for everybody to join. So, yeah, today's going to be a pretty exciting topic. We're going to be discussing stereotypes in the engineering field. So I hope you guys can stay tuned. Right now, we're going to briefly introduce Papaya tutor, just to give us some information about the agenda and some of the topics we're going to be talking about. So let's just see if she's here. Let's see if she joins us here. Sandra.
Wow, I have this way too close to me. Hi, Eduardo. How are you?
Doing good. Just, excited to host the first episode. A little nervous too, not gonna lie. It's the first time, so how are you feeling?
I'm nervous too, but I just like to push through it. I mean, this is our second, third live together, remember?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm nervous too, but I just want to say thank you to you and STEMedia for supporting this cause, for supporting women in STEM. I know you talked to me about about being called sexist in your platform in Engineering Means Guys, and I was like, oh my God, no way. I mean, you are the last person I would call sexist because you have supported me so much. I know I reached out to you about Papaya when Papaya was just an idea that I had in my head, and you have been so supportive, and I just want everybody to see how great you are and how not sexist you are, and so yeah, we have this current theme in Papaya called WOMENINSTEM Wednesdays. And we're little, so I figure I asked Eduardo, hey, what about we make an IG live series every Wednesday, and we, put women out there, and we wanna, we hear their voices and their struggles and the good things about it and the bad things about it, because everybody wants to know. So thank you for supporting me and for supporting Papaya. I appreciate everything that you have done. You and STEMedia. I mean, now this is the STEMedia original, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
you guys have been supportive too. I've been wanting to get out there more too and become a little bit more influential and really make a difference. So you guys are also supporting. I think I like the chemistry we have, with me as well. So let's keep it going. So yeah, you're supposed to introduce the host, right?
I know. So before I introduce the host, I just want to mention Papaya Tutor, and that because of Eduardo and the host, we want to make this, we want to make a special announcement. We're going to go into a subscription model, but everybody who signs up today and for the rest of the week, we're going to let them in the platform for free. Papaya is for now, it's going to be for everybody that is signing up because of Eduardo and Joan. It's going to be pay as you go for you, and it's super cheap. It's only $15 an hour, and it's available 24/7. And we have all the junior classes for engineering. I use them, and then I ended up in a really good job working with Ivy League school kids. So I just want to give you all the same opportunity for an affordable pricing at any time, anywhere. So yeah, without any other talking, I just want to introduce Joan. Joan is also an amazing female engineer. She works for NASA. She's an amazing content creator. She loves helping students in engineering and mentoring and coaching. So I figure she can give you the best advice and talk about her journey through NASA. And yeah, so take it from here, Joan.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us, Sandra. All right, so let's add Joanne. Here we go. Let's see if she accepts.
Oh.
Joanne.
Hello. Good. How are you doing?
Doing
Trying
good.
to
Just trying
get
to
this a
get
little
this thing.
adjusted a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's been a lot of hype for this,
I
and
know I'm excited, but also nervous. I know you said you were nervous in the
I'm a little
beginning,
nervous.
but I am also very nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, so honestly, I just want to get straight to the point. I want to have a discussion about stereotypes and what it's like to be a woman. I come from a male's perspective, so I want to be educated. I'm sure people in the audience will learn from this. Guys, if you guys have any comments, any questions, any explanation, please just leave it in the comments, and we'll try to take care of you guys and try to answer your questions. So to start, I just want to, I can only talk about my experiences, right, as an engineer and the stuff that I've seen. So just one thing that I've seen just from my industry is that there isn't that many women in my teams, for example. I've had 2 jobs in the engineering field, and I haven't had any female teammates. So my question to you is, um, how can we influence change in the STEM fields to reduce this gap? And how do we
So
start?
yeah, so what we're doing here, having a discussion, talking through social media, is a great way to start. I don't know if, back in like 1983, they had a Draw a Scientist study, and they
Mhm.
had all these children, both female and male, ask them to draw what their vision of a scientist is. And most of the children, both male and female, drew a male scientist. And that's because we
Mhm.
don't have a lot of female role models. We don't have a lot of female scientists. Like when you think of a engineer or scientist, you think of Bill Nye the Science Guy, or you think of Neil deGrasse Tyson. So you don't have a lot of female role models out there. I know that Emily Calendrari is starting a really big movement. If you haven't seen her show on Netflix,
Mhm.
Emily's Wonder Lab, it's amazing. So having more females out there, more females in leadership positions. I know that you own your own business. So, I do want to discuss about, what do you think? What do you see when you're hiring people? We need to break those stereotypes, and how it starts is to start a discussion, to start talking to young individuals who are interested in STEM, especially women, show them that they can be engineers, show them more female engineers, show them more female scientists, and then have them get a platform like the one that you have and give them the opportunity to talk about their experiences and, whether it's good or bad, because it's always good to talk about the rosy side, like, hey, I'm a NASA engineer, I got to where I want to be, but, there was a lot of struggle that happened along the way. So, having that open discussion is where you want to start.
Yeah, I do want to ask you a question that came from the audience, and that's just some. I want to uh, talk about terms. Like, for example, there's a question that somebody says here: how do you deal with mansplaining? Can you describe like what that means? What is mansplaining?
Yeah, sure. So mansplaining is, let's say you have, like, you're an engineer, I'm an engineer, and someone comes up to us and asks us to do a project. Even though we have similar backgrounds, you may say, well, this is how this is supposed to be because of the A, B, and C, the science behind it, not knowing
Mhm.
that I am also as qualified as you to understand and also do the problem without you having to explain it to me. So it comes with the psyche of, like, back into like the 50s when women didn't work. They were housewives, and there weren't a lot of female in the, in the work environment. So when females started being integrated into the work environment, men felt like they should be explaining to them, how
Mhm.
things work. And so mansplaining is just like continually to explain, even though the female, knows exactly what you're talking about. So,
Mhm.
how you would stop something like that is, again, having women in leadership positions. So for an example, I was a project lead on one of my projects for the Navy. And I think I put in your stories, I walked into a room, we were all, going to meet each other. And the first person that I saw was a male worker that I've never met before. He went up to me and he's like, hey, would you mind taking notes during this meeting? Not knowing that I was actually the project lead for the project. And
Mhm.
so, how I handled it, I could have just said, hell no, I'm going to walk away, you're an idiot, and stuff like that. But you want to try to educate. You don't want to, belittle the person. You want to say, hey, I'm actually going to be busy during this meeting. And that's actually what I said. And then I went to the front of the room and I introduced myself as the project lead. So, how you stop a lot of that mansplaining is, again, when you're in a leadership position, like you said, there's not a lot of female coworkers that you've had. In my experience, I've probably seen like one or two. I may be the only female in the room. If there's another female in the room, I make sure that I call on them whenever we're talking about a project, or making sure that they speak up, because most of the time women don't feel like they should speak up. I think it's like about 25% of the time they speak up, and it's because they feel intimidated. And so you don't want that. You want to ensure that everybody is heard. So, you call on your female coworkers and say, hey, Cindy, what do you think about this? Or, after someone talks and they want to change subjects, you want to make sure that the female coworker is also going to put her 2 cents in, even though she may not feel, confident enough to speak up. Give her the opportunity to speak up, whether she wants to or not. So, that's how you stop a lot of the mansplaining, and also trying to get a lot of them more involved.
Yeah. I've been trying to understand you guys' perspective too, because from a male perspective, if let's say, and maybe I don't know if you know the answer or not. So do you feel like they're actually putting you down, or do you think they're genuinely trying to explain something that maybe you don't understand? So I'm trying to say, because if I know that a project is important and I say, oh, she asked a good question, let me explain to her, maybe I'm trying to give her more detail, right? And but maybe I don't understand that, right? So I just want to make sure that I'm careful, especially too when I'm dealing with people that might work with me too, and not take it overboard, right? Just want to make sure that they also understand.
Right. And honestly, it's a gray area. A lot of the times, like you said, you're just there to help, and you want to help, and you want to make sure that, the project is understood. But, what I would say is, before you start going into detail and explaining, you could just ask, like, hey, do you understand, or do you want me to explain further? And that.
I think we lost your reception for a second.
Sorry.
There you are.
I was going to say, so for myself, when someone starts to mansplain, I don't quickly stop them, because I don't want to be rude. I'm a very introverted, quiet person, even though, I'm doing these lives. But, most of the time I just let them explain. And that's something that I need to personally work on, is, kind of voice my opinion a little bit more. But, most of the time the women don't feel comfortable enough to kind of stop you, and they'll let you explain, and then it'll just kind of go away, and then it's just, you feel like you explained, and then she feels like she was just mansplained. So it's a very awkward situation. So to kind of avoid that, you just say, hey, do you want me to explain it further, or do you understand? Something like that, just to not have her feel not have your female coworker feel like she would have to completely listen.
Okay, I have another question here that I think leads up to what we've been talking about. It is more on the microaggression side of things. So Lisa from the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers at University of Florida, she's asking,
go Gators.
Have you ever experienced microaggression from your male counterparts? Have you dealt with these in the past, and how can young engineer females deal with these in their school and workplace?
So absolutely, I am not prone to not getting microaggressions. I've felt it through college and through my working professional career. Usually what I do is I try not to belittle the person. So if someone is trying to is someone sexist, or has a sexist comment, or, a microaggression comment, what I usually do is, they may not understand and may not know what they're saying. It might be their upbringing. It might be just a joke that they thought that it was funny. So what I usually do is I try to attack the actual statement versus the person, because if you attack a person and you call someone sexist, they're going to shut down, and they're just going to completely forget what you're saying. So you want to make sure that you're not attacking the person themselves, because you want to educate them. So, if they have a sexist comment that they make at the workplace, you just say, hey, this statement made me feel uncomfortable, or, hey, this statement was inappropriate. Other things that we could do is, like for yourself, having allies in the workplace or in college, to call out those microaggressions or sexist comments is extremely important. I know that I've experienced it and I've heard other female workers experience it. So I make sure that I stand up for my coworkers because I know how it feels to be belittled in front of everybody. You know, they again may think it's a joke and it's funny, but for yourself, it makes you feel very uncomfortable. So having allies in the workplace is extremely important. And then if it gets to a point where, you know, you've already addressed this several times and the person or people keep bugging you, they keep, you know, coming at you with really bad comments, then you have the opportunity to go to your upper management and talk about it. You know, feel free to talk to your manager. You know, for myself, unfortunately, there was a gentleman that had a very, very sexist comments, and it was when I was an intern, which was extremely weird because, you know, I wanted to work there, so I didn't know if I should speak up because I felt that if I was an intern, I wouldn't get the job afterwards, that I was just a temporary employee, that I should just take it. But that was incorrect. You know, I immediately talked to my supervisor and let them know how I felt. And this gentleman was put on probation because of the comments that they made. So again, calling out the comments, not the actual person making the comment at first, helps. Having allies in the workplace also help as well.
Okay. I just want to give a quick little recap here for people that are just joining. So this is our first IG live series for Women STEM Wednesdays, and we have Joan as our host at Your Female Engineer. So we're just having a discussion about stereotypes in these STEM fields. So yeah, so let's move on to the next questions and just some thoughts, right? Because I'm from a new generation and I'm starting, you know, a company as well. And I'm also trying to understand, like, where is all this coming from, right? Like, it seems like this is coming from generations back, and now I hope that things are changing, because for me, like, I don't see it, right? I don't want to see, like, it doesn't make sense to me. So it seems like it's a society thing that has been with us for quite some time. So
Right.
I hope we're changing that. So
I think it's getting better. You know, I see it, the older generations, they may not have had any women in STEM and they were just a male dominated field. Now we make up 28% of the workforce. So we're getting better. You know, I definitely want it to be more of a 50-50, but, you know, that's going to be more towards the future. And I think our generation is changing. I think we're being a little bit more tolerant. We're tolerant to a lot of people, you know, whether you're a women in STEM, you know, the LGBTQ community. So, you know, I think we're more tolerant than our parents and our parents' parents were. So I think we're heading in the right direction.
I was actually having a conversation with some of my colleagues earlier and just wanted to get some thoughts on male. And one of the topics that came up was the emotional side. Do you think there's a difference between male and female in regards to our emotions? Is there, not that it's bad or anything like that, but do you think there is a difference? It's a conversation that I've heard before, is the emotional side. Is there any differences between male and females?
So, I mean, there's definitely differences, but, you know, we're both emotional. I mean, I don't want to come politics into it, but I mean, look at what happened to our former president. You know, he was very emotional for not winning the election and stuff happened. And then, you know, then we have a female prime minister in New Zealand who completely, you know, kicked COVID in the butt. And so, you know, the stereotype that, you know, women are more emotional, it's a stereotype. I mean, I think that men can be as emotional as women, and we need to accept that. We need to make sure that we're open to, like, you know, having men cry at movies, having men, you know, have the feelings and making it known to other people. That's perfectly fine. I feel like, you know, the whole, you know, male personas, we need to be tough. We need to, you know, not show our emotions, but, you know, showing your emotions is so powerful. You know, it kind of makes you vulnerable and it makes you more human. And I think, you know, women and male share that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is true. Everybody's emotional. And it almost seems too that, like you said before, being an engineer defaults a man, and you have to have some sort of default persona, or, you know, like it's almost like a status. I don't know.
You don't have to be.
I'm seeing it more now.
Yeah, you don't have to be, you know, all just like macho all the time. You know, like you're an engineer, I need to fix things, and you know, I think the emotional side of things, we're both emotional, and I think it's good to show it.
You know, another thing that was brought up in that same conversation, if there is differences, right? we are missing out on ideas and, you know, new ways of thinking, really. So we men, if you think that women can't engineer, then you're probably missing out. So,
I mean, you know, a perfect example is, you know, back when, you know, when NASA was starting the NASA astronaut program, you had only male astronauts allowed to apply to be part of the astronaut program. And then you had this like study of women, they were called the Mercury 13, who went through the exact same emotional, went to the exact same tests, they went through everything that their male counterparts did when they were training to be an astronaut, and then they sometimes outperformed them. And so, you know, it's always good to have both perspectives. Another example is, you know, we're sending astronauts to the moon. Now we have astronauts in the International Space Station. You know, having female engineers being there to design the spacesuits for women is extremely important because, you know, I think it was last year we were supposed to have 2 female astronauts for the first time to perform, you know, maintenance on the International Space Station. And I think the day that it was scheduled, they didn't have a spacesuit for one of the female astronauts because it was only it would only fit a male. And so it was something that wasn't really thought about, but you know, that's why you need to have female engineers. That's why you have to have female scientists, women in STEM, to have that perspective. Eventually, you know, both of the women did do their International Space Station maintenance, and it was very historic. But you know, the first time that they were set to do it, they couldn't do it because they only had male astronaut suit and 1 female astronaut suit.
All right, so I want to pass on to the audience questions. Let me see here. Let me find some for you. Okay, so questions from the board members of Society of Women Engineers and Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers from FIU, UM, UF, and UCF. It's a lot of schools.
Go Florida, go Florida.
Yeah, so as a woman in STEM, many find it hard to develop trust in their male counterparts in the workplace. What advice do you have for us to gain independence in our work while gaining support from our coworkers? It's a tough.
That's a tough question. Jeez. So for me, for my own personal experience, you know, like I said, I've had some coworkers that, you know, were from the older generation that didn't appreciate female input. They just thought that they were just the smarter ones, that they just didn't need the female perspective. You know, moving forward, I think we're getting better with that. But I think in regards to answering the question, I mean, once you start your career, you're going to go through a lot of training. You're going to be having a lot of mentors. So older engineers or older scientists are going to mentor you, whether they're male or female. They're most likely going to be male because a lot of the male engineers were part of the older generation. So, you know, talk to them like a normal person. I mean, a lot of them are open to your advice, your inputs. Some of them are not. So you're going to have to personally think on how you can walk on eggshells on the ones that don't really want your participation. You know, that's how you kind of grow and learn in your field, is you have to go through these obstacles. Like for myself, I had a male engineer that I was partnered with. He was fantastic. He's one of my best friends right now. And, you know, he was a senior engineer. He showed me he showed me the ropes. He showed me, you know, how to be a better engineer. And I learned a lot from him. He's actually a mentor of mine. And then I also had another engineer who I worked on a project where he was not, he just did not like women in STEM. He just did not like my feedback. He didn't like my input. And so, you know, unfortunately I had to work with him and I just had to kind of work through it. It's hard to explain,
Right.
But, you know, I still had to work with him. I still had to go in with a happy face, even though I knew that I had this coworker who just had zero value in what I wanted to say. So, you know, the only advice that I have to say is, you know, just work through it, and it'll make you a better engineer, because it made me a better engineer. It made me realize what I don't want to do when I am mentoring people. I don't want to belittle them. I don't want them to think that their input means nothing. And so, you know, you learn from the good experiences and you learn from the bad experiences, and I've definitely had both.
All right, thank you for your answer. I've dealt with similar situations too. There's a lot of smart-ass coworkers out there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So let me see here. I want to just go over some of the questions here and people sending their location. Give a shout out to Slovenia, Portugal, Switzerland, Cuba, Germany, Mexico, Pakistan, Greece. yeah, there's a lot of you out here, so I just
I mean, I
appreciate
can
all the
visit every
support.
single one of you guys if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great, right? Yeah, so let me see what stuff we got from the audience here. So I got here at Meraki 3.0, is it sexist to crush on a female coworker? What?
No. I mean, we're human. I mean, I'm a female, engineer, and
Mhm,
I crush on my male coworkers. I mean, you're human, and
mhm,
it's not sexist at all. Obviously, it'll become sexist if you start making comments like, I'm not even going to say, but if you start making really sexist comments, then yes, it becomes sexist. But if you're just crushing on someone, I don't think it's a big deal.
I do want to talk to the guys right now. Anybody watching, I want to hear from you guys. I've been only talking about my perspective, but I want to hear from the audience. So I hope that in the next few minutes we get some good questions. So anyway, so let's get to another question here. So yeah, another thing too is how do you notice the gender disparities? Like what did you, I guess, at what point did you notice that there was a disparity here in the
Oh,
STEM?
absolutely. In school. I mean, while I was in college,
Mm-hmm.
all of my professors, most of them were men. I think I had one female professor, and she was a doctorate in thermodynamics, and she was fantastic. So,
Mm-hmm.
she was extremely smart, and I cling to her a little bit because I was like, you are the first female professor that I have had. Please tell me your experiences. Like, how did you get here? And then kind of had this discussions with her too. But I definitely noticed in colleges, most of my engineering classes had male professors. And then in my engineering classes, I believe there was maybe, in our class, there's about 50 students. And out of the 50 students, we only have about 5 female classmates. And so we all collectively, we got together and we kind of bonded, we created a study group. Then we also, it wasn't just us, we wanted to make sure that whoever wanted to be part of our study group, whether male or female, it was easier to kind of just cling to like, hey, you're similar to me and there's only 5 of us. And then it gets even worse when you talk about minorities. I mean, I think I was the only Hispanic Latina in my class. And so, when you think about the 28% of women in STEM, then when you think of actual minorities, it's even smaller than that. And so it's crazy to think that, it's 2021 and we're still having this huge gap starting in college. And then, once I graduated college, definitely got into the working field. I started working for NAVAIR, which is Department of Defense, part of the Navy. And the military culture is definitely something to to talk about because there's a lot of men in the military. There's a lot of men working for the Navy, and even as a civilian engineer, you definitely got to see that. And so, I had to learn to work with a lot of coworkers that, again, had sexist comments, and it's nothing against them specifically because they may think that they're funny because they've only worked with male colleagues. So whenever a female would come in, they would either do one of two things. They would make sexist comments, or they would say, like, they would be completely perfect angels. Like, they would not cuss in front of me because they don't want to cuss in front of a lady. So it was like 2 different extremes. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you never had anything in the middle. Like, they never talked to me like I was just a regular person. It was either like a sexist comment, or it was a, hey, don't say the F word in front of her. But when she leaves, then we can start, shitting or,
I have
talking how we
noticed
normally talk, like guy
that.
talk. And
I
so,
have noticed that.
yeah, so it's like,
Yeah, for
it's 2
sure.
extremes. And so, I definitely learned a lot from that experience because then I would go up to them and then, I just kind of curse in front of them. And I'm like, look, you can talk to me just like you talk to this guy over here. I'm okay. I'm not 2 years old. You can curse in front of me. I curse. We're fine. So, and then I gained a lot of respect that way because, I brought it head on. I was like, look, I'm not the Queen of England. You can talk to me like you do anybody else. So it's perfectly fine. And now a lot of those military people are part of my best friends because of the way that, we went through that together. And so, there's I'm not going to like sugarcoat it. There's always going to be, struggles from college to your work environment. You're always going to see that disparity. You're going to see that gender gap. And, again, we need allies. We need people like you who can spotlight these disparities, that can spotlight these struggles, and coworkers to be your allies, and you need your family to go behind you. And I think that's extremely important if we want to move it forward.
All right, so I have a question from the audience here. So it's 303 Edgar. He's asking, in what ways can we get involved in the community, and at what age or grade can we get more females interested in STEM?
So I'm not really sure about like what programs you want to be involved with, but in regards to getting more female involvement, start young. I mean, I love to do a lot of outreach as a part of being a NASA engineer. One of the really cool things about that is they're really big on student outreach. So they allow us to talk to schools and do like presentations while we are working, because they're really big on promoting STEM, whether it's female in STEM, women in STEM, or just STEM education in general. So I think it's really important to, I love all your filters. It's really important to start getting them involved early, elementary school. I love to go to elementary schools and talk about, building a rocket. A lot of both men and women are really engaged because they love space. They love to see astronauts go to space. They want to be an astronaut one day. So, getting that and getting them involved as a parent, if your child is interested in building stuff, Legos are a perfect thing. I am old, but I still build Legos because I love Legos. But having them, not conforming them to just those male stereotypes of like females should get Barbies, males should get Legos. I think we're kind of past that right now. So if somebody is interested in STEM, there's Women of NASA Lego sets, show them Women of Space, show them how someone like them can achieve something big if they put their mind to it. Again, the first female VP just got put into office. So I think that's something fantastic. We need female leaders to be put in positions of leadership so that young women can see themselves in them. So, I know a lot of young African-American and Southern Indian descent are looking at Kamala Harris and like, wow, I can become the vice president of the United States. That's fantastic. And then when I do outreach to elementary schools, they're like, oh my gosh, we have a Hispanic, female engineer working at NASA. You normally see, in the movies, you see like the men with the white shirts and the ties and like those glasses. And then here's me, I don't have any glasses. I'm female and I don't, fit that stereotype. So, a lot of outreach is extremely important. So as a parent, you need to engage with your children. If they look like they're interested in space, keep feeding that, keep feeding them science, technology, engineering, and math, and see, how they can grow up. And then once they're, an adult, when they're in high school, start being involved in your school's programs. I have a lot of people contact me who are part of the Society of Women Engineers, the chapters in their high school. And then some people don't have that in their high school, and they create these clubs so that people can join them. And so, being involved in those types of clubs, being involved with clubs internationally, following social media accounts that, your account, which is memes, and I love all the time, which is hilarious. Following accounts like yours, following accounts like Engineering Gals, following accounts that promote women in STEM is, how they continue along in their path to becoming a future engineer or future STEM professional.
I've actually gotten called sexist in my memes. It's like, hey, that's very sexist.
Oh no.
So I have gotten sexist, and I'm just trying to be the same, treat everybody the same, So
right, and like, how does that make you feel?
Is not, huh?
Like, how did that make you feel? Like, did you feel like personally attacked?
I feel like I do something wrong? It's
right.
Not like, oh, I didn't realize I did. I made people feel a certain way. So
right.
I'm more aware of that. So that's
fantastic, because you're a small business owner. I mean, you're starting Loomis Automation, and as the head honcho, the CEO at the top, you have to start looking into a lot of this stuff, into microaggressions, into sexism, into how can you have an open environment for people to freely either come up to you, or there's a chain of command of someone to feel comfortable to go up the chain if something does happen. Or, you know, in your company, if you hear something as the CEO, you know, if you stop it right there and you, you know, talk about it and you, you know, make it known, then everyone will feel comfortable and follow your lead.
Yeah, I'm definitely learning a lot, that's for sure. And you know, it's something that I don't really think about much. I kind of do my thing. I'm running a company and I'm going 100. And yeah, definitely next time, you know, anyone that wants to join our team and it's a woman, definitely just got to be more aware, really. And yeah, now that I get a chance to speak to everybody about my company, part of this partnership that we're doing with STEMedia and Papaya Tutor, we're creating a like this network, right, where we can help students get technical skills, like from our company, and also provide resources for their education, such as such as Papaya Tutor. And then STEMedia has a network. He has a network that we're trying to figure out if we're going to create like some kind of convention or an expo to bring people together. So we have the network, we have the resources for students, and we can also educate real skills. So if you're a woman, reach out to us. We're located in Orange County. And if you want to learn industrial automation, like mechanical design, electrical design, software, and even installation of the systems we build, reach out to us. So Loomis Automation, if you're interested in automation, hit us up. Okay, so let's get into more questions from the audience. So this is a serious question here. Can someone convince me not to leave mechanical engineering? All right, Joanne.
I'm a chemical engineer, so I'm a chemical engineer.
Okay, so I'm the guy to answer this. I'm a mechanical engineer. You know, I was gonna quit my third year in college, and for different reasons, right? Personal reasons. And I can see many people being in that situation. And, you know, at the end of the day, I just told myself to not quit. Like, I'm not going to go back home. I'm not going to just accept this, right? It's like, I'm going to get through it. So it is what it is. Charbel, at Charbel, Jabbour, that's their at. So yeah, man, you just have to stick with it. Man or woman, you just have to stick with it. It feels difficult, but once you cross the line, it's good. So it's worth it.
I mean, as a chemical engineer, I can't tell you about mechanical engineering. I did take statics 1 and 2, and I loved it. But that's the only mechanical engineering that I really took. But, you know, as a engineer or STEM in general, whether, you know, you're mechanical or chemical, you know, there's going to be points, like Eduardo said, that you're just going to want to quit because it's too much. I know I felt it. You know, I failed organic chemistry as a chemistry major, and, you know, I wanted to quit because I just thought I wasn't smart enough. And, you know, that's when you need to rely on your support system. And that's when you need to, you know, go to your faculty advisors, go to your TAs, ask for help, because I know that how I thought, you know, when I was in college, I thought that if I asked for help, you know, A, I didn't want to stay in class longer than I had to because I just want to get out of there, or B, I just felt like I wasn't smart enough. You know, like I would see my classmates and they would just, you know, go, and I felt like they just got it right then and there. And then if I went to the TA, I felt like I could have just been a failure. Like, I'm not smart enough. I'm here. I need your help. I need extra time. But, you know, everybody's different. You know, everybody learns differently. I personally learned with by visual. You know, like I had to actually technically do it with my hands. If not, I can't learn. Or B, I just felt like I wasn't smart enough. You know, like I would see my classmates go to a lecture and they just automatically go, and I felt like they just got it right then and there. And then if I went to the TA, I felt like I could have just been a failure. I usually say, you know, failure is a stepping stone to success. You know, I failed, like I said, several times, and I still ended up being a NASA engineer. I always thought that you needed to have a 4.0 GPA to be a NASA engineer, you know, super genius, but you don't. So, you know, just keep going. If it's something that you're passionate about and you want to be an engineer, just, you know, you have to go through the tough seas, because at the end of the day, you'll be able to really enjoy the career that you're going to have in front of you.
Thank you, Joanne. You're teaching me so much. Yeah, so I want to, let's move on to more questions, see if anybody has anything here. Let me pull them up. questions. What advice do you have for me, a 19-year-old studying biomedical engineering at University of Texas at Dallas?
Just like life advice in general? Let me see. Right? Wear a mask because we're in a pandemic. So that's definitely just general advice. Don't go out and party. Don't be like Florida people going out to Miami and like beach parties everywhere. So don't do that. You know, as a 19-year-old freshman, I went into college not wanting to be an engineer. Engineering was like completely away from my mind. I went into college thinking that I was going to be a doctor. You know, I watched like ER, I watched Grey's Anatomy, and I wanted to be the person in there in the ER, like saving a life because, you know, I loved helping people. And so I volunteered at a hospital, and it was an emergency room, and it was the best experience, but the worst experience because I saw so much stuff that you would never see, and you know, stuff in like TV shows that you don't think is real actually is real. You know, like just like the like ugliest stuff you see in the emergency room. And so I saw a lot of blood, I saw a lot of needles, and I almost fainted. So I knew that I can't be a doctor anymore. And you know, I was 17 going into college my freshman year. So you know, take things slow. You want to make sure that you're passionate about the career that you choose. You know, I was passionate about being a doctor, and I had to course correct. And that's the other advice that I have. If it's something that, you know, you don't like, or if you're pursuing something that doesn't make you happy, you always have time to change careers. You know, there's people going into engineering at 35, at 36 after being, you know, an accountant for most of their life. And it's because they just don't enjoy what they do. So, you know, find your passion. It's okay if you find it late in life. You know, don't compare yourself to others. You know, you're on your own path and it's your own journey. So make sure that you enjoy it, and that, you know, again, just enjoy life. And if it's something that you're passionate about, just keep going, because it's going to make it worth it at the end. Hopefully that's the advice that you wanted. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Wear a mask.
That's a good advice. That's a good advice. And yeah, we just want to pass on to the next segment, which is our last one. Just talk about the influential life. Let me see here. I just, you know, I want to ask the audience actually if there's any parents out there or any high school students in the audience. Obviously,
apparently my mom is here. Apparently my mom is like just scrolling saying, "This is my daughter. Hi, Mom."
Yeah. You know, there's some cool comments. I wanna bring one comment that came up here, that from Clenching Butt Cheeks. Failure in classes definitely help with character development. It's so humbling. And I think that's true.
Absolutely.
Another comment he put is failure teaches people how to cope and move on, which is important in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. This is great. I mean, I think you are doing exactly what you need to do. You know, you have a huge following and you're using it to make change, to give spotlights to, you know, women in STEM, to talk about the issues that they may be dealing with that you may not necessarily understand as a male. So again, this is exactly what you need to do. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Papaya Tutors. This is great. I mean, you know, for their awesome shirt. You can't really see it, but what you know, you have a huge following and you're using it to make change, to give spotlights to, you know, women in STEM. I struggled through college and I used Khan Academy a lot. I don't know if anybody is out there probably uses it, but you know, it's okay to ask for help. And so Papaya Tutors is just another great example of, you know, making it more for STEM related tutoring. And if I was in college, I definitely would have, you know, joined that community as well. So, you know, STEMedia, I've known them for a little bit. I follow them on Instagram. They're fantastic. You know, they just had a conference end of last year, which, we're all working together to help each other. And I think this is fantastic. So I want to thank you. I want to thank the audience for giving me the chance for this nerd to talk to you guys tonight. And, you know, I'm really excited to see what's to come.
Great. Well, thank you so much. What's the last thing I want to tell the people out there, women out there too, is again, just reach out to Loomis Automation. We're here to support you guys. I hope this whole COVID situation goes away so we can all get together. I hope that, you know, everything that we're building right now turns into, you know, a potential conference out here in California, and then we all get together for real. So big things are coming. And yes, of course, you're already invited. So I'm inviting you now. So yeah, we hope that this becomes even bigger. And and really help everybody out there. Because at the end of the day, we're all nerds. We all get into engineering, or, because we like it in some way. And obviously money, some people do it for the money, but
it is nice.
I think at the end of the day, we like it, which is our true passion. So
right.
Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna save this video. I'll share it in different platforms, and we'll probably save it in our IG series. So thank you, Joan.
Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you, everyone.
Does the very first STEMedia and Papaya Tutor collaboration for Women STEM Wednesdays. We're going to be hosting this either every week or bi-weekly. We're still going to set that up, but stay tuned. There's more series to come. Thank you all.